Hey guys, it's Melissa. How are you today? Happy day 14, Tuesday, Wednesday. I have no idea what it is. Wednesday, April the 1st. We made it to April, right? All right, only what, like 3 more months of this? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to take advantage of the essential machines that we have in our craft rooms and help out. Okay, so you're probably seeing a ton of masks and things that people are making at homemade, which is wonderful. I'm getting a lot of questions about how to do that, where to find designs, and what machines can be used. So here's the thing, the Silhouette CAMEO 4 and the 15-inch Plus can both cut fabric with the rotary blade without any type of liner or anything. The problem with, the only way that you can cut fabric with the other types of machines, any of the older CAMEOs or the Portrait, is if you line your material or put some kind of stabilizer on it. Okay, so that's not going to be, I mean, I don't know, there's no way that I think that putting a piece of fabric that has had Tyrael Magic soaked all over it up to your face is any safer than getting coronavirus. So I am not advising to do this on any machine except the CAMEO 4 or Plus, where you can cut with the rotary blade. Okay, now here's the thing, I am not a sewer. My mom, those of you who have heard my story know that my mom was a sewer. I don't even know if my mom's on here. I can't even see comments for some reason. Let's see. Oh, comments are not coming. Okay. Well, anyway, my mom was a sewer. She still is a sewer. I have a sewing machine, as you can see, but I'm not a big sewer. Because I just really don't have time and blah, blah, blah. So, but today we are going to sew because we can and we should, and if we have time and materials, we should do that. Now, here's the thing. We are going to make a mask. I want you to know, this is a mask that I literally just made in the last like 10 or 15 minutes. I got it all set up and we're going to literally do this from start to finish. So this is going to take, this is going to be probably a longer live than normal. You guys see, I have blue, I have pink, I have, this is literally just material that I had, little quarters that I had in my stash. And so that's what we're using. So here's my trick. Don't feel like it has to be matchy-matchy. Some of them are not the same length. I am using binding just because that's what I had. The elastic I keep hearing is irritating. The nurses and doctors are saying that the back of their ears are getting kind of raw just from having the elastic on there, which I actually have elastic, but I did it this way so it can tie. Okay, so we're gonna do that. And if you don't have binding, you can use ribbon. Try to use what you have because, like I said, right now materials are hard to get. So this is the free design that is in the Silhouette Design Store, and I linked to that. There's also another pattern which is different, which doesn't require as much sewing. It's a folding type pattern, and that one is on FONTSY, and that one is free too. So I linked to that one. You guys can decide what you want to do based on the material and the things that you have. Okay, so tip number 1: use what you have. You do need to have at least enough to do its front and like it's lined. Okay, so the other thing is that this is the design from the Silhouette Design Store. It's 4 pieces, and it's best if you try to, when they come into Silhouette Studio, it takes an entire 12 by 12 sheet. If you can nest these, you will be able to get more onto your piece. Okay, so this is not going to use as much as it was before when they were not nested. So I get it out of the printer. I nested them myself so that I could maximize the fabric that I had. Okay, I had another piece of fabric, and I'm gonna start this just so it starts cutting. Hi, Blake.
Hello.
I'm gonna start this, but we are using CAMEO 4. I'm gonna have to put this on the floor for right now. Okay, and let's just get this going, and then I'll talk a little bit about a couple of tricks to make sure that you're getting out of it what you had, using what you had, taking full advantage of what you have, because obviously right now materials are harder to come by. Okay, so I'm just using the fabric thin, wait a second, cotton material settings that are in Silhouette Studio, the default settings, okay? And this is going to cut. So, like I said, make sure you nest those together so that you get more room. The first piece of fabric that I had that I used to make this mask was not 12 inches wide. It was actually, I think it was like, it was 18 by 9. Okay, so I still obviously wanted to be able to use it, but I had to manipulate the shapes, or manipulate the 4 pieces onto the work area so that it fit on the piece of material that I had. So even if you don't have a full 12 by 12 sheet, you can cut single ones. These don't all have to be the same. Like each piece can be, just seriously, we just need masks. Also, this is not obviously like, this is like a last case resort, but I feel like that's the point we're at. It's best, honestly, if you can find someone specific who needs a mask, okay? So ask nurses, doctors that you know, here, give this, I want to give this to you so we're not, I know the hospitals need them, but this is like a temporary thing, not temporary, this is a last resort type thing. Hopefully they can use it to cover the good N95 masks that they have to just prolong those, okay? But also, if we get to the point where, and it sounds like from the news yesterday that the CDC may start to recommend that citizens wear masks, again, you know, if you end up needing to do that, we can make these at home. And you can size this so that it fits you, your kids, or whatever, okay? All right, so while this is cutting, I'm just going to tell you basically what you need to do. And I did this all shortcut. I didn't pin anything. The sewing was very, I mean, again, I'm not a big sewer, but if you can sew a couple of straight lines and you know the very basics of reverse, start, reverse, then you're good, okay? So that's what we're going to do. And I want you to see, this is, again, this is completely unlined fabric. I don't know if you can see that. I did use a brayer to make sure that it stays on the mat. I'm using the rotary blade. This material is not lined. It doesn't have any type of stabilizer on it, and that's why it's able to cut because of the rotary blade. All right, so the rotary blade, though, only works in the CAMEO 4 series. So that would be the CAMEO 4 12-inch and then the CAMEO 15-inch plus, okay? All right, so while this is cutting, a couple of other things. If you guys are at home with the kids, of course you are, you better be at home. We've got we've been putting up as many kids crafts as we can to just try to help with boredom. Hopefully your kids are, you know, doing some type of schooling right now if they can. Mine have distance learning. They've been doing this, which is actually working out pretty well. But if you have younger kids, we've got lots of craft ideas to try to keep them busy. You guys can cut the stuff and then let them, you know, have it. I can show you, I have stuff all over my office right now. But paper crafts, I mean, just use, you know, what you have. Okay, so, like I said, this pattern that I got you, it'll work on a 12 by 12, so if you only have a small piece of fabric, you'll still be fine. And you can manipulate the shapes, obviously. If you're new to the CAMEO 4 and you're wondering why your pattern has these little loops and hooks all over it, that's how the rotary blade is turning, okay? So, just so you know. For some reason, I'm not getting any comments. I can see who's watching, but I'm not seeing any comments. So if you guys are asking me questions, I'm not ignoring you. It's just, it's not showing me anything right now. All right. Also, if you have more than one machine, specifically if you have a CAMEO 4 and like a plus, if you have the 2 of them, you could cut both at the same time. Again, you can cut fabric with the other machines. However, you would have to use a fabric blade, that blue fabric blade, which looks like a ratchet blade, but it's in a blue casing. They're literally exactly the same. But you have to stabilize that material. So if there's anything that you're using to stabilize, like heat bond or Tiro Magic, like I would just really warn you that you need to remember that this thing is going to be up against somebody's mouth and nose. So I'm not really recommending that. Okay. And here's another thing. I put the call out in my neighborhood. If somebody has fabric and they want to sew, I'm happy to cut them. Okay, so if you make an assembly line. All right, so here's how it cuts. Do you see? This is just, this is how great the rotary blade cuts. I mean, look at this. I'm just pulling this straight off of here. Okay, a couple little snags, but okay. Oh, I had a little bit of an issue over here. Okay, let's just trim that straight across. I don't know why, it must have been. Okay, all right, so these pieces you can see all cut. Now, they look like they're the same size, but the pieces are actually 4 different sizes. I mean, excuse me, 2 different sizes. So now I'm gonna move the CAMEO out of the way, and I will move my sewing machine back. Oh my gosh, this thing is ancient. I think my mom gave the sewing machine to me when I was 16 for my 16th birthday. So that's pretty daggone old. Okay, and then the other little trick that I had is if you decide that you want to iron, oh my gosh, if you decide that you want to keep your stuff, you know, you need to iron the seams, that's like your thing, then I'm just going to use my Easy Press here. But on this first one that I made, I didn't even iron at all. Okay? All right, I'm going to warm this up. I'm also going to try to pull you guys a little bit closer so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. And I do apologize that, okay, there. So it's sort of at an awkward angle, but hi. Okay, all right, so we got to find the pieces. Now, if you're new to sewing, you always sew from the, you know, in the right sides together. See, I do know the basics of sewing. This is not on. Okay, all right. Because then you're gonna flip it and then that puts the seams on the inside. Okay. So what you're supposed to do is sew along this curve. I feel like I need to press it a little bit. It's just a little bit. Yeah. Okay, all right. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing on this piece, okay? Again, both the patterns that I put up there for you are free. Take them, download them. This is the one from the Silhouette Design Store, okay? Okay. All right, so we've got both pieces. Now you need to clip in. So this is just so it helps it curve and it's not too stiff in there. So I'm gonna do this, okay? And then you're gonna do that on both sides along that curve that helps it to curve, okay? Don't obviously cut the seam that you just sewed, okay? All right, now you are going to fold the edges in and you can iron them, you can pin them. This is just so you don't have that raw edge there. And then you're gonna sew that down, all right? Okay. Now, this, the original directions for this are for elastic to go, like you have to make like this little elastic pocket, but I'm not doing that. I'm just going to use ribbon and sew that on the end, so that, well, like I attached it here, okay? So that's how I'm gonna do it. So I'm just folding in the edge, okay, on each side. And then we're gonna sew all those 4 pieces down so that we have a nice clean edge. Okay? And any of you guys that are sewers, and if, I know that I'm doing probably a lot wrong and probably making you all cringe, but desperate times call for desperate measures, and you know it's desperate when I pull out my sewing machine. This ancient thing. All right, it literally has dust on it. Okay, same thing over here. Don't sew them together. You're sewing it like this and down the edge, okay? Okay. I'm really just hoping that the needle doesn't come unthreaded, because if I have to try to do that, oh my gosh, it's going to be all over. Okay, so trim those little strings again. And now we're going to sew the two sides together, okay? So one side is going to be smaller than the other, and that's how it's supposed to be. Because it has to like curve out a little bit, all right? So that's why you've got one side. So you need to put this down, okay? Flatten it as much as you can. And then this side is the bigger side. So that actually, you put the bigger side down, it'll be a little bit easier for you. Strings, strings, strings. Okay, and then you're gonna put right sides together, remember? Okay, big side face up. Okay, smaller side goes right over it. Now, again, this is not the same length. Okay, the top piece is going to be a little bit smaller. You are going to sew along this top curve. That was the one that I originally sewed wrong. This time I am pinning it just because it's a little bit. All right, and you're gonna sew along there, and then you are also get it, going to sew along the bottom. Okay. Again, what I'm going to try to do is find someone who has, I don't have a whole lot of fabric. I mean, for obvious reasons, I'm not a huge sewer, as you can tell. But I'm going to try to find someone who has fabric and who is making masks and who just needs to do it faster by having someone cut the fabric pieces, because I can do that. Okay, and then we're going to sew along the bottom, and that piece I'm actually not even going to pin. Okay, all right, so sew straight along the bottom, and also, can we just, okay, can we talk about, Bob is tired of hearing me complain, but like, I know I'm not the only one whose nails are like a nightmare, and I'm like making light of it, obviously. But I heard Mandy joking about the same thing. Mandy from Sparkleberry joking about the same thing. Those of us whose hands are on camera a lot, we get our nails done regularly. I mean, first world problems, right? Okay. All right, so you got the top and the bottom sewn. And now you can flip it inside out, and I'm going to add, I've got strings everywhere. Now I can add the ribbons to tie it together. All right, I'm just gonna try to trim some of these. Okay, I left my ribbon on the floor. Now, again, I don't have a ton of stuff here. Ow, there's still a pin in there. As you can see, that's why I've got 3 blue ones and a pink one. That is just binding. You can use ribbon. You can use, oh, there's still another pin in there. You can use elastic if you want, if you were just joining. The reason that I'm not doing elastic, if I can help it, is because I keep hearing that doctors and nurses, it's irritating the back of their ears because they have to wear these masks for so long. Okay, all right, so now you can iron that, iron it out. Okay, and now all you're gonna do is put the ribbon in the, I'll show you. I gotta grab it because I forgot it. This is literally not even ribbon. This is rickrack. It's not even open. But again, it's just something that I have and it can be tied to hold this thing on. I'm gonna measure it against what I have here. Okay, so you obviously need 4 pieces. This is great because I don't even have to sew it. And if you're just doing a piece of 1 piece to go all the way around, make sure you make it longer. These 2, since they're tying together, you can make them half. All right, and now I'm gonna stick that piece in there, and I'm just gonna pin it. Again, this is a little deviation from the way that the original directions say to do, because they're talking about using elastic, which and making a pocket to slide the elastic through. This is just my little hack of how to do this a little bit faster. and with the materials that you have. Okay, so now I've got those. I'm just going to sew along that line there to hold that all together. Guys, if I can make this, anyone can, because I am a rough sewer. All right, now we got to do it on the other side, and then we are done. All right. Okay, so we'll just put that in there, pin that in. Someone's going to have a fancy, fashionable mask. Leopard print and fancy tie ribbon. And my finger's bleeding because I got a pin stuck. All right, so we're going to sew one more time up that side. You might want to do a couple back and forths just to reinforce, to keep the ribbon in there when it's tied, if there's any pressure applied to it, so that it stays, you know, just make sure that it doesn't pull out of there when whoever ends up using it. Again, this is just a sample that I'm making to show you guys how you can do it with material that you have, and give you a couple of different options for making the mask. Okay, so I'm gonna come back around here real quick. I've got an alert here, I can't even see you. So that is how you do it, and now like you could just tie this on the back. Make sure that these are at least 15, I didn't even measure, it's about 15 to 18 inches. You know, you just wanna, I literally went like this. I held up the material piece, and then I thought, how long does it take to go to the back of my head and then an extra to tie? And that's how, and then that would be the total that you need, okay? All right, so then they can just tie it, okay, double knot, bow, whatever, and there's 2 of them, okay? All right, so that's how you're gonna do it. Thanks for hanging in there with me when I had to use my little seam ripper. I'm really not surprised that I had to do that, to be quite honest, but I think that went pretty well, right? Okay, all right, you guys, make those masks, stay home, flatten the curve, be healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.